Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. So this session is about future-proofing your data analytic and data science operation. A little bit of myself. As the organizer mentioned, I've been around for about 30 years, and mainly in Americas, Europe, and now in traveling and working in Asia. In terms of industry, I've been more focused on financial services, telecommunication, and a lot of manufacturing. So let's go back a little bit. What is data analytic and data science used for? Usually we use data analytic and data science to drive business outcome. So when you look at how it works, usually we have three main categories. One is to make better decisions. Second is to improve operations. And third, to reduce risk and increase compliance. So in terms of making better decisions, you are going to look at the customers, customer behavior, purchase behavior, trying to imagine, identify new products and services that you can sell to them. In terms of improving operations, you are looking at efficiencies. In financial services, you will look at digital know your customer. And in terms of risk and compliance, well, anti-money laundering is something that is very important. ESG reporting is something that a lot of companies are looking at. As data usage grows, challenges are rising too. So you have increased velocity of data-driven decision. You have more and more new analytic and AI use cases, and then complex regulatory requirements. So as a result, what did work at the beginning, single use case approach, you got many more of those. You have a limited data governance and framework. That's kind of okay for a few use cases. Ad hoc model development, mixed of roles and responsibility. You didn't clear up everything, but that was okay. And basically, you are in a startup mode with your analytic and data science organization. And then at some point, you reach a tipping point where you feel, I need to do something about. And often, you don't realize it until you reach the breaking point, when suddenly you no longer have enough time to have a good turnaround and support the business. So you can start to miss window of opportunities. Then you start to lack of talent, technology. So in a way, you cannot keep up anymore. So two choices. You realize that you are already at the tipping point, or you didn't, and you wait until you get the breaking point. But once you get into the breaking point, remediation is a very expensive process. So what do? We have a simple approach at Source Group. We look at usually the weakest dimension. And the weakest dimension is often the process. How you get data analytic use case in first place, how you accept requests from the business, and how fast is your turnaround. The second aspect is talent, and the third aspect is technology. But let's start with strengthening the process with the right organization. In terms of organization, you can look at autonomous teams with accountability. So what you have on this slide is a typical top-down hierarchy. You have a centralized data team and multiple lines of business who are fighting to get the attention of those individual members of that data team. As a result, you tend to have a bottleneck in the middle, and what usually happens is business start to have some shadow IT on their own, because the IT organization or the data organization doesn't go fast enough. But that's only a short-term approach. Then the solution, one of the solutions is to have more autonomous team where you embed your specialist in the line of business. It can offer you second your specialist in the light of business, but way more important, you rotate them. This doesn't cost much. It just costs management, organization. And this is often something that you can start with today. You don't need to hire new people. You don't need to purchase technology. It's a decision. It's a discussion with the various organizations in order to make the process a little bit smoother. The second aspect of the process is a very simple framework that we did put together. It's a framework that allows you to nail down the requirement before collecting any data. Why often data analytic teams are always late? Because often at the working level, people don't ask those fundamental questions. What is it that you are trying to achieve? Simple, what is it for? And let's stop building a data platform thinking that if we build it, they will come. You know what? They never came. Or you have a lot of data platform, a lot of lakes. There is no fish. Or you have a lot of fish, but they are not the right one. The second aspect is, at the working level, you want to teach data analytic consultant, data analytic practitioner to ask the fundamental question: who has a vetted interest in that information that you require me to collect? Do you know? And if you don't, do you know who you know? In order to get to the bottom of the root cause, why do you need me to collect that information? Because if I know the context, I can help you much better. If I don't know the context, I'm going to collect the wrong information, and you are going to ask me to collect again. So you start to repeat the process. You start to have wastage in activities. And the holy grail, if I can say, is what is the expected action? Because a lot of time, often, you are requested to collect a lot of information. But nobody can tell you what the consumer of this information is going to do with it. Well, if nobody knows what they are going to do with it, why do you want to work for them? You don't. So, by having this simple framework, you start to reduce the number of demand, you start to better qualify, so you end up freeing up your team's time with more focus. So suddenly you have a buffer, suddenly you have more time to work on fundamental aspect. So that's the first aspect, future-proofing your data analytic organization and your machine learning organization is the process. The second aspect is talent. You need to nurture your people. We need to nurture better our people. How do we nurture people? Keep them excited. That means we need to set them a vision, a mission. What is this data analytic or data science organization for? What is the primary goal? What would you like to achieve at a very high level to motivate people? These days, people are motivated by purpose. You need to provide them a purpose. Otherwise, they don't feel motivated. The second aspect is data people. They love data. They want to play around. Give them data. Don't let them waiting for 6 months before they can access to any data set. They are going to leave within the next 3 weeks. And then you will complain that it's hard to keep talent. Well, yeah, it's very hard to keep talent when they are frustrated every day because they cannot access to the data. The third aspect is create animate sharing sessions. And most of the company are doing that these days, brown bag session where you share analytics. Best practice, you keep more people in the company interested, so you have more people who can support a data-driven aspect. And then, if possible, trying to use recent technology. Who is going to be excited by using 20 years old technology? It's tough to have a very good job description. You attract candidates, and then the candidate asks, what type of technology are you using? And then you tell them, well, we are thinking going to the cloud in 20 years. Well, that may not be super appealing. So, but cloud is not the only answer. Technology with modern tools, they are very important. And keeping in mind that you have 4 main profiles in your data analytic and data science teams. So you need to address those 4 profiles. Then, in terms of talent, trying to build a culture of experimentation when you nurture ideas, you develop those ideas with brainstorming session, then you experiment. And because you experiment, you don't know if it's going to work. Otherwise, that wouldn't be an experiment. And some experiments will be more successful. So you keep interest. You keep people interested and passionate about what they do. So hopefully they will stay. So we just look at future-proofing with the process and the people. The very important part is obviously technology. But it's not the first one to tackle. It's the last one. Embrace, if possible, recent technology. So in terms of technology, you may have already a data platform in place. So if you can enhance it, make it more accessible, make it more scalable, that will help people to play around with data more often, to motivate people. If you have no real data platform, well, build one, and trying to build a unified data platform. If you are on multiple clouds, you need a data platform that can accommodate multiple clouds with exactly the same principle. You cannot have different principles, whether you are on-prem, whether you are on the cloud. Ideally, you have a unified approach. So in terms of data platform, looking at it briefly, we have seen a data lake. Then we have seen lakehouse, typically a data lake with a data warehouse. And then recently, the past year or two, we have seen this fashionable term, data mesh. Do you do data mesh? How your data mesh is going today? Well, data mesh is an approach. It's not a technology. So it's kind of I would call the third generation, where you have what you had with Lakehouse, but much more. And it's a lot to do with processes and organization. So first, focusing on data with a clear data ownership, like a data owner, and it's all about governance. What is your process? You don't need a tool for that. You need to decide and write it down somewhere. Define a process. Who is going to be responsible for the data of that application when it goes to the data platform? I want a name. Then organize in business domains. That allows you parallel experimentation. In a typical financial services company, you may have loan origination on one side, investment on the other side, and compliance somewhere else. And most of the time, by regulation, you cannot mix those data. That's why you want to organize those data in different domains, but still make them very accessible. And then the concept of data product. The concept of data product forces people to think about the outcome. Again, looking at the framework with those 3 questions, we want to focus on what do we want to produce at the end. A data product can be a dashboard, can be a simple data set, can be a derivative data product like recommendation engine. But we need to clearly identify what we are going to produce at the end, because the data owner is responsible for the outcome as well. And then, if we can, simplify the access to the data platform. So self-serve as much as we can. Now, here is a caveat when you build a data platform. You have two ways. One is the easy route, the immediate route. You build a data platform on you go, use case by use case. But remember the curve where you look at the tipping point and then breaking point? You are going there, for sure, if you go use case by use case. So at Source, what we promote is to have a more scaled analytic approach with a platform approach. That's the green path. It takes a little bit longer to build it with data governance built in from the get-go, with automation built in from the get-go. But the key aspect here is you don't build it completely. You refine it and you build some components as you have more and more use case. It's not a waterfall approach where you build the entire platform during 1 year, telling the business, wait, I'm almost ready. That's not going to go too well. Within 3 months, you need to have something up and running that can scale with automation. Automation is the key. Anything that is automated can scale much faster than using multiple talents, increasing the number of people that you need. So, in a nutshell, future-proofing your data analytic and data science organization means starting often with the process, looking at the people, motivate the people. People are maybe the scarcest resource today. Everybody is looking at people. I want more people to do things. And then use the technology wisely. Don't multiply the number of tools. Use few tools, stick to it, but automate and automate. So, is it so easy? Well, no, it's not that easy. So, in order to make it work, you need to buy time while future-proofing. And this is the key aspect of what I wanted to convey today. And to buy time, you start with the process. You start with a simple framework with the 3 questions. In order to nail down the good requirement in first place, so you limit the rework. By limiting the rework, you free up the time with your team. And that allows you to build more foundations. That allows you to invest more time with the technology. That allows you to build this automation pipeline that you had never time to build until now, because you are in the rabbit hole. You're trying to go faster and faster and faster because you have more and more requests from the business, and the business wants to have more and more results faster and faster. So that's all I wanted to convey today. I hope this very short talk of 20 minutes was helpful. Please, you can ask any questions after this talk. And don't forget, we are looking at organizing an event on the 1st of July at Source Group. So stay tuned. You will have the various links to my LinkedIn profile. You can ping me online, and we will be happy to help you. Thank you very much.